Leadership Roundtable, a podcast with Dr. Conway Edwards. And we are so glad that you're here, where we get the opportunity to speak to you and have a conversation about how we can all be better, because when the leader gets better, everyone gets better. Come on, we know the quote, we know the importance, and we know the reality of what that means. And we're here to talk about today.
Y'all, I miss y'all. That's all I want y'all to know. It's
Yes.
been a while. Happy New Year to you. Things have been kind of chaotic, so we need a little time off. So now we're coming back. We're going to have a regular rhythm first Wednesday in the month. We will release one, and so that's what we're doing now. And so I'm just excited to be here because I'm passionate and fired up about Easter 2021, and you should be too, and you should be preparing yourself for that. So I don't know about you, but we're here to get you started with a couple thoughts about how to get ready for Easter digitally, both physically, people coming to your church, as well as digitally. And I just can't wait. I'm pretty excited about it. So let's jump in. Let's see where we're going. Come on. This is the big game for churches. It's all in. Everybody comes to church. Everybody watches online. And let's see what we can do to win more people to Christ than ever before. But not just on Easter, because we're going to show you some stuff leading up to Easter, so you don't have all your eggs in one basket on Easter. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm just pretty excited. So let's go, Pastor Matt.
Yes.
How many things we give them?
I
10
can
or 11? What
tell
do you think?
10, maybe a few bonuses.
Yeah, let's go.
We're less than 60 days away.
Come on,
so this
Easter.
is about
Come
to happen.
on.
And before we even get into the 10 or 11, I wanted to just ask you a question.
Yeah, come on.
How do we plan for Easter when we don't even know what the future holds?
Oh, that's what leaders do, man. This is the season where you rise up and you say, you know what, courageously, we're moving into this, and I cannot wait, and I know you can't wait either, because these are the moments leaders thrive on.
Right.
Because we've got the Spirit of the living God guiding us. We know what's at stake. We want to depopulate hell, and we want to populate heaven.
Right.
And we've got a natural rhythm for a big day called Easter, and we need to give it our best shot. Mobilize our people, create momentum, get fired up yourself, because they're going to follow your lead and then move in that direction. So I cannot wait to get you thinking about it, and then preparing you personally and then your people for Easter 2021.
Come on.
Like none other. Now, to be honest with you, I think I got to fire him up, because Pastor Matt don't sound excited about Easter right now. But here we go. We're going to get there. Come on, let's go. What do we got?
All right, so what we've done is we've categorized this. We've got 10 things, and we've got some categories. The first one we want to do as we plan for Easter, and your job, like Pastor Conway just said, as a leader, is to define clarity. So around clarity, the number one thing you've got to do, we've all got to do, is define the win.
That's right.
How do we define the win for Easter? For so long, the win was get people to come back to church.
Right.
Get butts in seats.
That's it.
Come on, that's the win. But now the win has shifted.
It
Our
has.
win is no longer just getting people back to church or getting people in church. Our win is connecting people to engagement.
That's correct.
Getting people involved, because engagement drives everything, and engagement is so much more important than just somebody in a seat or somebody on a couch.
Yeah, that's good.
We've got to
That's
figure out
good.
how we can keep them engaged.
So I wholeheartedly agree with that. But you know what? I'm going to give you a bonus right now. Before you even get to clarity, you've got to ask yourself, am I really ready for Easter? Maybe you have to go meet with a coach, or maybe you have to go meet with some cohorts, other pastors in the area, just to pray up and get ready for this opportunity that's in front of us. So number one is preparing yourself for this experience.
There you go.
Preparing yourself spiritually, preparing yourself physically, preparing your family, preparing your own heart before God by spending some time in the closet and making sure your affections are in the right place, which is for Jesus Christ and the finished work he did on the cross. If that's you, then secondly after that, now we need to talk about clarity. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to get engagement. Easter's not just about how many people we can get to come, how many eyes we can have watch on social media. It's also about, more importantly, it's about how many people can you get to come back? How many people can you get to be engaged? So that means we're going to engage from our volunteers all the way through people that are coming. And we have some numerical goals. Numerical. Did I say New America?
New America, yeah.
Yeah.
We have those goals too.
numerical goals for Easter. But what I care about most is that you ask the question and wrestle with. How many people are we asking God to see not only come on Easter, but come back the Sunday after Easter? Because usually that's your biggest lull after Easter, but we need to find creative ways to give them a good reason to come back the following week, and that's what we need to talk about. So it's engagement online, engagement in physical campuses, if that's what you're doing, but we need to ask, what are our goals for engagement? And that leads to number 2, doesn't it, Pastor Matt? Go ahead.
Number 2 is having those clear steps.
Yep.
So clear next steps is what our number 2 is. So we've got a certain number of people we want to see engaged, and then what are all the different things that they can get engaged to?
Right.
So, I mean, for us, it's going to be so many things. It's what is our follow-up system? So just getting connected with first-time guests, both online, both in person. How do we stay diligent connecting to every single person that God trusts us with? Then it's not just our guests, but it's helping every single person take a next step.
Yeah.
So the next step could be getting engaged and just getting to know somebody. The next step could be salvation. The next step could be baptism. The next step could be volunteering. The next step could be small groups.
Rededication. Rededicating your life to Jesus Christ.
Coming back to church.
All of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to remember, now, this is in the regular rhythm of a church. So for us, our rhythm is you attract, then you attach, and then you do what we call a door, and then you align. So attract means that's when we try to build up to Easter. Let's see as many people as we can get. Once Easter shows up, then you've got to attach them to something. And after you attach, then you've got to disciple them. How do we get them to adore Christ and make Christ number one? And then you got to get a group of leaders and align them all on the same page. What Easter is leading up to it's a big day. So we're trying to attract as many people as we can come, or eyeballs that can watch. And then number 2, this is what we're talking about now, next steps. How do we attach them to something here at our church? Pastor Matt gave you 5 or 6, and I think all of those are great, but you must wrestle with it. What are you driving them to? What's going to be the one mantra in that service that you're using to drive them through? So for us, that would be, you got to start with Mother's Day, and you got to say, Mother's Day is coming up. How do we drive people back and let them know when Mother's Day is and all the things you're going to do on Mother's Day? Number 2 is a sermon series. How do you get them to have a series that's so attractional that people want to come back because it's an issue that they're wrestling with, and they want help in that area. So you must work on how do we get them back for Mother's Day, and how do we get them back the following week to start this new series that they don't want to miss, because it will unlock something in their lives that will help them for the rest of their lives. So that's 2. Pastor Mike gave you about 5, but you've got to wrestle with them and ask, how do we do this well, so that when God shows up and they come and they want to give their life to Christ, you've got a system for that. They want to rededicate their lives, you got a system for that. And if I were you, I would make every single person that shows up either fill out a card online, or if they come in person, let them fill out a card.
That's right.
So that everybody's making a decision for this next year, so that you have the information for everybody, because data is king, and you want as much data as you can get. So give them a whole list of things that they can rededicate their lives to, or recommit to for the next year, that I am happily serving right now, but you just want their information, even if they say they're happily serving, so that you can get them engaged in the process as well. That's what we're after. That's your goal. Let them have clear next steps. Not clear in your mind, but ask some people, is this clear? Is this easy to do before you know you get it? What's number 3?
Number 3 is moving into the strategy. So first we have clarity. Now we have strategy. And for us, part of our strategy is to drive towards Mother's Day. It's really starting Easter with Mother's Day in mind. So Easter is kind of like the playoffs. Mother's Day, the roadway up to Mother's Day is kind of like the Super Bowl. Easter's not the Super Bowl. Getting people connected between Easter and Mother's Day is the Super Bowl.
That's it.
So starting to plan, what are we going to do on Mother's Day, and how are we already pointing people to what Mother's Day is going to look like, and how we're going to love on moms and celebrate moms.
That's good. So now remember, this is huge. This is huge. So one of the things we're going to do this year is, as you lead up to Easter, as you lead up to Easter, this is still about building momentum for this service. We're gonna have a T-shirt, a free T-shirt, 2 weeks before Easter, and everybody gets a free T-shirt. You should do the same thing too. Everybody loves a free T-shirt, so your assignment is to make sure everybody can get a free T-shirt. On the front it says "I love my church," on the back it says "Your church," so everybody can walk around when they're doing whatever they're doing out in the yard or wherever they go with their free T-shirt and that says "I love my church," and on the back, one community church, a church where no one walks alone, or whatever you want people to know about your church. You've got to pull that off so that you have some momentum leading into the Easter services, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Big weekend. Let's make sure we can pull that off. What else we're doing in this section, Pastor Matt? Building momentum. That's what this is called. We've got to build it. So whatever you got to do to create buzz, to get people's attention, that's what you've got to do leading up to these services. I am so fired up about the different things we're going to try this year. What else you got, Pastor Matt?
In momentum, you've got to start the momentum weeks ahead of time. If you just try to start it the week of, you don't have a chance. So
that's right.
Every little thing we can do is building momentum. So part of the things we're doing to build momentum is looking at both online and offline things we're doing. One of the things we want to do offline in person is the week before Easter, is having an outdoor attraction for kids. We've done this a couple times at our church already where we've had a drive-in movie experience. And wherever you're watching from, listening from, there are companies that you can call, that you can partner with, that will help pull this all off for you. But you've got to have something outdoors that families can come to and have fun and get back in the habit of driving back to church.
That's right.
And creating a fun family atmosphere for them. So a drive-in movie the week before Easter to get people coming back to church and engaged with what it means to be back.
Don't do it on the week of Easter, because you're going to burn out your volunteers who then are going to be tired on the week of Easter. So do it 1 week before so you get the momentum. People talking about church, you're giving them a flyer as they come so that they're getting ready to bring everybody into Easter. Now, that's one way they can bring their dogs. They can bring everybody they want.
They can bring their what?
Leash. If they've got doggies, they can bring them up and be a part of that. The kids can come. Everybody can be on a blanket. You got to think about those millennials now. They care about their dogs. So you want to have them walk with their little doggy and watch the movie outside, and their dog has an opportunity to be cared for. Don't laugh about it. This next generation cares about it big time. So you got to figure out a way to minister to the millennials and their animals, their pets, or whatever they have. So that's just one option that you have. Another option that we have is that we're thinking about, how do we get to pass out flyers? You can give your people, anybody that live in an apartment complex, you can give them flyers to pass out, just so that you're building momentum and people are caring about what you guys have coming up as a church. So again, what's the category we're in? We're building momentum moving up to Easter. So number one, outdoor experience, whatever that is. Number two, you can pass flyers out, and we're going to do, a lot of flyers we're going to do and pass them out everywhere. You can do the same thing as we get ready to build momentum for that. What else you got, Matt?
Mailers, flyers, all these things are very physical things. Invite cards. In the past, we've even done Easter eggs, Easter egg invites. So these are all the physical things we do. Those are the offline engagement, the offline invitations. Then we also have all the things we can do online. So if you haven't already yet, you've got to figure out, how am I getting the word out online? And there's so many ways you can do that. Number one, it's just, the first thing is really just having good content. A lot of people can put a lot of money into online ads and promotions, which you should invest in, but just having good content pointing up to Easter online, a web page where you have tools that people can digitally invite their friends, images that they can use to post on their own social media, guides on how they can share and be digital evangelists throughout the whole time. But then also you need to look into Facebook ads, Google ads, how you can get out there and advertise so that when people type in Church Easter, you want your church to pop up. So you've got to look online how you can do that as well.
That's awesome. All right, so remember, we moved from clarity and then we went to building momentum. Now we're getting to offline and online strategies as to how, third movement, as to how we can continue to build momentum and make people aware of what we're trying to get done. All right, so the next one I have on mine is that we need to figure out a way to have a web page, and you got to think about a unique web page for that, and one for kids, one for students, and one for adults, and make it relevant to all three compartments so that people are excited about what they're going to experience when they come to church or when they watch online this particular Easter. Another thing we have that we are going to do is physically, we're going to make sure we call everybody in our database starting in the month of March, leading up to Easter, to build momentum again so that people know we can't wait to see them for Easter. We're praying for them for Easter. Here's all the things that are happening for Easter so that they're aware. Most of us think everybody's watching us all the time, and they're not. So we got to remind them, one, when Easter is, and then what we're going to do on Easter and why we need their participation in being a part of that.
And by call, you mean just one big mass text we send out to the whole database, right?
Absolutely not. Everyone gets a personal call from
everyone.
Every last one gets a personal call. No shortcuts. We got to put the work in.
Why is that so important?
Well, that's important because, one, that's a great question. One, because you don't know what people are going through. So you get information and feedback that's vital to the health of your church. That's vital to the health of your pastors so that they know how to pray for people. People feel a connection. They don't feel that you just want them to come to church and that's it. And you're making a pastoral call. And you're loving people and ministering where they are. So you're not just saying, come to me, and then I'll forget you, but you're on the front line caring for people. So it's vital.
Yeah, you might have 500 people, 1,000, 10,000. We don't know how many you have, but you've got to assemble a team of the best of your best who call and love on you, every single person.
Awesome. So that was 5, 6, and 7. Now let's go to 8, 9, and 10. This is our last section that we're recommending. We're calling it unique engagement just for Easter. How are you going to engage people uniquely? How are you going to stand out from everybody else just for Easter? So here are a couple of the things we're going to do. Number one is we call it first serve. We're going to invite people who have never served before, digitally or physically, and say, hey, you know what? We just want you to serve at one of our services, whether digitally or physically. And we're going to ask you, we have a team of online pastors, we have a team of physical, and we just want you to serve one time. You don't have to serve again. This is just one time. Why are we doing this? To uniquely engage our volunteers before Easter so that they can do it in the comfort of their homes or with the team when they come to church. So both of those are huge. That's number one. Number two in this area is 48 hours of prayer. We're going to pray around the clock because we know we're wrestling not against flesh and blood, but a principalities and powers. So we're really struggling with the spirit, that's the evil spirit that's trying to hinder us from winning people to Christ and growing people up in Christ. This is all about winning souls for Christ. So what we're going to do is have a 48-hour prayer deal where we ask you to pray every hour on the hour for 48 hours, just basking and bathing this time in prayer, because we know unless God shows up, ain't nobody else showing up. So we got to make it a spiritual deal and not just physical deal. Last thing for us is we're going to open up all our campuses. Right now, only 2 of them are open. We're going to open up all our campuses and make sure that on that day we're opening, even if it's a smaller scale, but we are opening. And we think you should do the same. Actually, we're going to open the week before just to check out all the systems so that on Easter we're ready to go.
We just got to get every spot we have that we can have a service we've got to have. Now, online, one of the things we want to do is this thing called, we want to create an experience that makes people want to be engaged with Easter. So for us, it's something called Stations of the Cross. And what this is how throughout Good Friday, throughout that entire day, every hour, just think of a mini-series. Think of an online mini-series where we walk through the old school Catholic Stations of the Cross, the different stations Jesus went through on his path to the cross. And what we want to do is create an experience that throughout that day, at the top of every hour, there's a 4 to 5 minute video that we broadcast live on all of our platforms to keep people engaged and to get them in the moment of what Jesus was going through before Easter came, of what that Friday looked like. So that's a way to have a mini series or something that keeps people going all throughout Good Friday, and then having a virtual Good Friday service at the close of the last Station of the Cross. So we'll have a digital online-only service just for Good Friday to engage and have families together that they can watch from home and be a part of.
And the reason you do that is because on Sunday you're competing with everybody else. And so you want a lane that you can track that less people are on, and that's one option for you. So I'd highly recommend it as well. The next thing I'd highly recommend is what I call your exclusively now digital strategy. This is number 10, your digital strategy. We've talked a lot about physical and digital. Now I want to just exclusively talk about your digital strategy to get momentum and to get attention so that people can be exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ. So a couple of the things we're going to do is, number one, obviously, we're going to have shareable content that everybody in our church can share. We're going to give it to them. We're going to ask them to share, put it on their page just to get it out and to see what we're doing. That's a big one. The next one we're going to do is we're going to talk through having a drive-by photo booth so that you can drive by and we'll have a place for you. You come out of your car, ain't nobody else is there. You can take a picture, get back in your car and leave. But it's a drive-by photo booth that you can use just to get people engaged in the process. They can tell their friends, free family photo. You go, you get it, they'll send it to you email-wise, and boom, we have all our professional photographers here that will be social distancing, and they can take a picture, get out of your car, take it, get back in your car, leave. That's just another thing we're trying to do to create momentum for people. So you don't want to miss that out. How do you create unique opportunities for your people digitally and physically to get through this process? So somebody doesn't want to come physically, well, you can let them drive in, get your little digital stuff taken, picture. They'll send it to you on your way home. Before you get home, you got it, and we're ready to go. All right, what else you got, Matt?
Well, I think just everything we do digitally. How can you use QR codes to have videos as people walk up to church? Or how can you have things online throughout the service that engage people digitally that someone here might not engage? How is it going to be different from somebody watching at home? And how can we send them different content that we don't send or people don't receive here? We've still got to realize, for us and most likely you, the majority of your people are still going to be watching from home.
Yeah.
And we cannot leave them out. As a matter of fact, we've got to go extra. We've got to charge that hill on how we can keep them engaged with drive-up opportunities, with things we can send them and downloads, things we can send them for their kids. But I don't even know how to do it, but could you even do something with virtual reality? I have no idea. If you have that skill or that technology, things you can do to keep people engaged digitally and wanting to come back. That's what we've got to focus on.
And then one more for communicators. I want you to think like a YouTuber, and I want you to think, you ever see those guys on YouTube? They're out in the field somewhere, and they're creating something. We are too predictable sometimes. You must think for Easter, how do I create something that's never been done before? And you must think like a YouTuber. Where can you go to shoot a part of your experience so that you can bring it in and make that a part of your service? So don't just get a podium, get a Bible, open it out, and go. Think, what else can I do to grab people's attention so that they can hear and be exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ? That's what you're trying to pull off. That's what you're trying to do. And so those are just some opportunities. Obviously, you can do Facebook ads, you can do YouTube ads, you can do all of those, Google ads, all of that. You can do all the Instagram ads, you can do all those. But your goal is, how do I drive people here? And then how do I create content that's meaningful to right where they are? All right, Matt, why don't you just kind of recap for us, all 10, and then I hope this was helpful, everybody. But just give me a quick recap, Matt. The 4 categories. You have 4 categories, right? Clarity,
that's right.
Building momentum, offline, online marketing, and then unique engagement for Easter. Those are the 4 categories, and then you have 10 of these bullets in the middle of those. Why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, the first one is clarifying or defining what your win is. And for us, for you, it's engagement. The second is having those wins categorized out. What are the next steps? What are the next steps that you want every single person to take, and how are you going to make that next step available for them to take? So everyone having an opportunity to fill out a card, both online or in person, so that they can take their next steps and you can be ready to do that.
Then in building momentum, you have number 1, we're going to do free t-shirts. Number 2, outdoor attraction. Number 3, passing out flyers, getting people engaged in that. And then the next one, number 6 on our list of number 6 is online stories of life change and having a landing page for kids, students, and adults. And then lastly, the last category is unique engagement, 8, 9, and 10. Pastor Matt, go through those for me.
So we're going to have our first serve, so the individuals have an opportunity both online, in person, to make their first serve, to test drive what it means to volunteer.
Yep.
And then we're going to do something digitally called Stations of the Cross. So we're going to create a mini-series on Good Friday. at the top of every hour, released live a short video that walks individuals through the different stations Jesus went through on the way to the cross, culminating with a virtual Good Friday service.
Awesome. And then lastly, it's just digitally. What are you doing digitally, creatively, to make sure that you have a strategy of getting more eyeballs, attention to your platforms? That's it. Hope that helped.
Yes, we'd love to know what have we missed that you've done. So even as you're leaving comments and rating this, that would be such a benefit to us, and it'd be an honor if you could let us know how this has helped you out, and if you could share this and help as many other people start planning for Easter. We're less than 60 days away. Begin with prayer, end with prayer, prepare yourself. That was the bonus you gave at the beginning. So we've all got to begin. Thank you so much again for joining us for the conversation today. Hey, even if you've been watching this, why don't you take out your phone? Here's a new way to share this content. Take a screenshot of what you've been watching, what you've been listening to. Then you can post it to Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social media you might be on. We want to encourage you to rate this content. Let us know how else we could help you or what we've missed. And you can go to visit 1cc.com/leadership roundtable, where we're going to have the show notes so that you can follow along on everything we've done. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again. We're just 60 days away. Let's do this.
Be bold.